everyone, this is Trista Fergerson in Dodge City. This is my first Screencast-O-Matic, and it is on communication and collaboration. First, I want to start with the denotative meaning of communication and collaboration. If you're not familiar with what denotative meaning is, it means the dictionary definition. For communication, that would just be the exchange of information that occurs anytime someone else sees or hears you. And for collaboration, that is just the action of working with someone to create or to produce something. Now I kind of want to tell you a little about the connotative meaning. If you aren't familiar with what connotative meaning is, that would be the emotions that you feel when you think of these words. So let's take communication for instance. When you think of communication, what do you think of? I think of things like talking, hearing someone, maybe waving or smiling because that's nonverbal, or even texting or emailing because you can communicate that way also. As you can see, a lot of those things are nonverbal. It's not just talking or listening to someone that makes you communicate. If you look over to the right of collaboration, to me, collaboration's connotative meaning is a lot like the denotative meaning. It pretty much means the same thing. It just means working with others, whether that be face-to-face or doing it through technology by phone or by email, even by video conferences, and obviously this is us communicating through Screencast-O-Matic. Moving on to the communication process, I teach speech, and this is one of the presentations that I show these kids when I'm teaching them about the communication process, and I'm just going to go over it with you. If you look over here, right here it shows your source to the left, and then you have to encode your message. Encode just means you transfer your message to someone else. It means you're putting a message together. This right here in the middle, it says channel of message communication. That's your message that you're sending. So right now my message is what this communication process is about, which then goes to be decoded to the receiver. The receiver over here on the right takes the message and decodes it, which means they listen to it, they hear it, and they understand what's happening. Of course, there's always going to be some kind of noise or interruption in the middle because it seems like, especially with high school students, it seems like they can't get through anything without giggling or talking to their friends, and that interference causes noise in the classroom through the communication process. Out here, these larger circles are your fields of experience. Your field of experience is just your knowledge on the topic. So right now, my knowledge on this topic is the communication process because I teach speech. That's what I refer to when I'm giving this presentation to my students. Because I teach speech, that is my field of experience. I know what I'm talking about with speech, and I can tell them about it. And of course, there's always some type of feedback, whether the feedback be from the receiver to the source or from the source to the receiver once you get the feedback. And of course, the receiver of the message can always respond. That feedback will loop back and forth from the source to the receiver. Moving on, the communication impact on learning in the workplace. I think all of us can think about how our lives would be different if there were no types of communication. You use it every day, not just in the workplace with your students, but with your colleagues. If you're a coach, you use it with your athletes. I do all three of those things. So without communication, there would really be no need for collaboration. When you collaborate with someone, you have to communicate. Otherwise, things won't be done effectively. I feel like collaboration is how creativity enters communication, and if you don't have creativity in your classroom especially, that makes things less exciting and dull for students. And let's face it, if a student is bored or if they think a lesson is dull, they're not going to listen to it. So down here at the bottom you can see I just put dull learning equals no learning because they could really care less to listen to you if they aren't excited about what's happening. So obviously you need communication in the workplace. That's how you learn, period. And then this slide is just about how technology and communication helps you learn in the workplace. It's easier to communicate with colleagues these days with technology, obviously from email or from text messages. And then also you can relate with your students, not just relate, but communicate with them through text messages or social media sites. Actually, I have an advanced broadcasting class, and I often text my students to let them know what we're doing, when we're doing it, when we need to meet places, things like that. It really helps out because that's their fastest way of communication, because teenagers these days just seem to have their phones glued to their hands. The references that I used were obviously the book that we have, Supporting Learning with Technology, and then I also found one of my standards on a website. Right here it's listed. The standards that I used for students was communication and collaboration. And then I also used for the teachers planning and designing learning environments and experiences. And then down to the administration, which is where I found this on the website, was visionary leadership. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thanks so much for listening.